What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of the Daniel and Mark Show, brought to you by Hardcore Headstart. We are here with the normal two, good old Marky and myself, Daniel Therese. Marcus, I'm still loving the mustache, man. I'm going straight back to it.
Thanks, brother. I think we've got a couple of days, and then we'll retire the good old Mo.
You did it for some charity, right?
Nah, not even. I did it
No.
as a joke, as a practical joke. Yeah.
Was it a practical joke on yourself every single morning when you woke up?
Oh, nah. I think I was telling you. So I had a Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
like later in the afternoon, and I just thought, fuck, like my facial hair is getting a bit out of control. Like it's getting a bit like, um, how do you call it? Like just a little bit too long, right? So I started trimming it, and then I was like, hey, what would be funny if I just kind of like leave this little bit around the mouth.
And you just continued to leave it.
Yeah, and like part of it too was just because Jenny hates when I just like leave the mustache. So I just if she thinks if she thinks it looks ridiculous, so I just kind of do like the opposite of like what she tells me not to do sometimes.
You're a little rebellious fucker, aren't you? Oh, shit. So we were talking just previously to starting this of the topic of today, which is restaurant hopping.
Yeah,
All right. So on my Instagram yesterday, that what is the date today? Being the 27th yesterday, November. Go and follow both of our Instagrams. The links are in the bio. You would have seen
yeah.
that the boys here at Hardcore, when I was in the house, we went restaurant hopping in Springvale.
Mm,
So, I mean, like, what is restaurant hopping, first of all? And then we'll start talking about like what the idea of it and kind of why it's probably an interesting idea for a lot of people. But restaurant hopping is as it sounds. Like we go to three, four, five, six, seven different restaurants and we get a little snack from each one to be able to kind of just try different things and get the best experience about it. Because like when we go out, the most
mm,
normal thing to do is like go to a singular restaurant and usually get the same thing as you got before. So usually when you go out, you go to the same restaurant that you've been to 100
mm.
times, like your favorite one, or one that is just convenient for you, and then you also get the exact same dish every single time. And I've been
Yeah,
like, I've
guilty
done
of it.
that. I've been guilty of that many times, so many times. But it's like I think it's a pretty cool idea. Like, what did you think when you first heard of us talk about this restaurant hopping idea?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I kind of imagined like a food train, like you doo doo, and like you kind of like stop at like each restaurant. You pick up a little bit, and the train keeps going, and you're like, get your shit, make your decision, because we're fucking going. We're going on to the next one, on to the next one. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Nah,
But I thought it's cool. I guess like the first benefit I would think would be sort of like pulling your money together, just getting a little bit of everything, where you might not have wanted like a full dish, but you got to try like a little part of a dish while you keep going to different restaurants, different cuisines, snacks,
mm,
and then you have different desserts together too.
yeah. So I think yesterday we went to like four or five different cuisines, and as like one of the big goals for all of us, I guess, is kind of to travel around the world and just travel in general. And when you're traveling,
Mm,
a lot of people say like it's better to kind of have maybe you can attest to this as well. It's better to have only a little bit of a plan and not a whole plan, so you can kind of be flexible and open to like using curiosity and going to different places. And usually, you find the best places when there is no plan. So
mm.
it's like
Oh,
go, yeah,
so I'm like, yeah, I'm like super passionate about it, like, uh, particularly because me and Jenny are like polar opposites when it comes to like scheduling and like traveling and creating a itinerary for what to do when you're overseas and stuff.
yeah,
Her approach is like research the shit out of everything, plan every fucking like minute, like down to the minute, what we're doing, what we're seeing, like what food we gotta try, and like I've done that before, and it's like exhausting where you're like,
mm,
all right, we have to go when you don't want to go, or we have to do, you know, check out one other place when you don't really want to check out that place and you know you're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really passionate about going, all right, what's the headliner of today, right? Like what if we were just going to sit around while in a new country in a hotel and do nothing, and we were just going to do one thing, what would it be? And that's like the headliner, and
Mm,
then you build around that. You have a
mm,
few sort of like small ideas that are maybe almost as good, but not quite. And then you've got like a few like if we run out of time. Oh, sorry, if we got heaps of spare time, let's just try these things.
mm.
How about you?
Yeah, I've been on holidays before where I come back more tired than when I left. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that just doesn't make sense to me. You know, it doesn't. The last time we went to Bar, like when we went to Bali the last time, like granted, I kind of didn't know what I was doing and shit like that as well because the first time
Mm.
overseas, we wanted to get the most out of it. But I think it stems from people only being able to go like once a year and only going for like 10 days or only go for a week. That there's not enough time for you to be able to travel a certain place and understand its culture and, find what the good shit is, find what I didn't really need to do that. I don't really care. Like
Mm.
there's just not enough time. So it's kind of that maybe it does come back to like people don't have the flexibility to be able to travel for large amount of times in a year.
Yeah,
And
that's a very good point. Like you've got 10 days. How do you squeeze the most out of that? Because you're probably not going to go back to that country for
yeah,
like another year at least.
yeah, exactly. If you even go back to that country ever.
Mm.
So it's like I think a lot of people just like, oh, I want to say that I went there, say that I did that, say that I could see that, stuff like that.
Yeah.
My idea of traveling in general has always been like, I want to go to a place for like a month. And who is it? I can't remember the person's name who does this, but it's Ben Greenfield. Do you know Ben Greenfield?
Nah, give me what's
He's
he
like,
known for, kind of.
um, he's like the health kind of guru. He's like whatever. He's like 50 years old, but he's just shredded to the gills.
Yeah.
He's like biohacking.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send him to you. You would know
Nutrition.
him before.
Ben
Um,
Green, yeah.
Ben Greenfield. Yeah, he takes everything to the next level. It's pretty
Yeah.
intense. But he and his family, when they travel, they always do similar things that allow them to experience the culture in the best way. So they take like a cooking class.
Dude,
Um,
that's it.
yeah, they do a few other things as well. It was like my idea of traveling is to understand the culture and almost like understand what they do day to day.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's almost like um at least trying the like a national dish. It's like going to at least like one museum. It's like doing one cooking class where it's the same activity but it's going to be done differently
yeah,
in each
absolutely.
country, right?
You're
Yeah.
learning new things all the time. And I think through that you get to like meet the people. And then once you meet the people, like they tell you what the best shit is.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of touristy shit that probably just not necessary to go to.
Mm.
Like it's the same shit, just like it's built for tourists. So it's like you can just get that in your own country more often than not.
Mm.
So it's like, but one thing I've learned from Yes Theory is their ability to speak to people and then the like just beautiful random adventures that ensue after that. So
Yeah.
cool. That's like my type of traveling, and like restaurant hopping I think fits in that because it's like just flexible and open to anything and everything, and you know um doesn't say no, just curious, inquisitive, that kind of stuff. And that
Mm.
kind of traveling makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's very easy to do the opposite, right? Like to feel you need to go with like the choices that you're comfortable with or like what you always gravitate towards. Like if you go in and you always get a certain rice dish or like, you always eat, sort of like chicken if given the choice between like chicken and pork.
Mm.
And I think you can have preferences, but it's good to, uh, sort of break the routine and like experience new foods, stimulate your senses, your touch, your hearing, so like listening to different music and your tastes in this case. So like trying different food that you wouldn't normally eat. And we all have like friends that just will not order anything different when they go to restaurants.
Andy fucking Andy,
This one's on you, mate.
mate, try some new
Yeah.
shit. He's actually trying some new shit. We went out to dinner last night. He's actually trying some new shit, so he's doing some good shit.
I think it might be an Andy thing. I've got another friend, Andy, too, that eats like 6 dishes, dude. Like, I mean,
total?
6 different restaurants, and he won't eat anywhere else. And and within those six restaurants, there's 6 dishes, not each, total.
Total. This is a singular dish he
Yeah.
goes to every place. Have
Yeah,
you?
it's like there's this Asian. Yeah,
What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, like it's either Nando's, it's either like this like beef broth, like spicy dish, like that's Vietnamese. It's pho. It's a few other sort of dishes that
Yeah,
that he just always gravitates to.
yeah. I think someone told a lot of people, I should say, they just and like this is the only type of traveling I've done as well, and this is how I know I don't think it's the best.
Mm.
It's like you go to Flight Center and you plan out your entire fucking package of what you're meant to be doing this day, that day, etc., etc. I think it loses
Mm.
like the freedom of what traveling is meant to be about.
Mm.
You know, like that's what I felt when I was in Bali last because I've only been overseas one time and that was kind of like the big holiday I've been on it. Technically, it was only one as
Yeah.
well. So I'm not an expert in traveling and all that kind of stuff, but it felt a lot of it. Sometimes like you want to do the touristy stuff as well. There is a little bit of touristy stuff, but it's like
Mm.
I wish we had more time to be able to go and do this if we wanted to, and then not go to that if we didn't want to, and you know
Mm.
if we were going to kind of go to a different country from there, be able to book those flights and stuff like that, the last minute, and the stress and the enjoyment of dealing with all that is kind of like my idea of traveling.
Yeah, 100%. I like just as you're speaking, I, I thought of like the other reason why I'm so passionate about like creating my own itinerary, because I did the absolute opposite when I first traveled with mum. Right, she was like, "Oh, this agency does really great tours." So like you basically pay like an upfront fee. They cover accommodation, they cover the places that you visit, and then they kind of you go in a group of like 15 or 20, and they plan out your day, right? So it's kind of nice because they get like group packages. Sometimes you get decent um, like hotels and stuff because it's all like part of a package, and they probably get a deal with like the vendors that they do the tour with. But it made me realize like there was a couple of things that was good, and like that's why we did the trip because we looked at the itinerary, we're like, this looks cool, right?
Mm,
But then there was heaps of shit where we're like, we would never eat at that restaurant normally,
mm.
and it wasn't that good, and it looks like they're just like filling gaps in this itinerary because they've like, you know, bless you. So
Did you
that made
get
me.
that on the mic? I thought I muted it.
No, no,
Sorry.
no, 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 no. You didn't
Oh,
mute it. You didn't mute it. I saw the reaction, yeah, the physical.
yeah, yeah. So, like, what are the things like you've traveled considerably more? Like, how many countries have you been to again?
I'd probably say like 6 or 7. So there's Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, um, where else? Japan. So 5.
Is there any instances like where you didn't have an itinerary, but it led, like, you just kind of being curious and inquisitive led to like the best experience?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I probably have to sit on and think about it a bit, but there's been times where I've like pushed the boundary where we're like, I'm like to Jenny, we need to fucking run. If we don't make this bus in like 6 minutes, there's like another bus at the interchange, which means we'll miss the fucking ferry the next morning, and we won't be able to do like this whole thing. And
Yeah.
like Jenny's like messaging the group on the ferry, right? Like saying, "Hey, we're coming, like this taxi coming, right?" Because there's no fucking phone number, and we've just got like internet data credit. Like,
Yeah.
so we're messaging this group saying, "Hey, we're gonna be there at this time, right?" So the thing is, like, this bus takes you to like only so far, and then you have to get like a taxi at like the bus station, which takes you to the ferry.
Mm,
And like, there's a bunch of like these cars like, or like, they almost look um like little small trucks where you hop in the back and there's like seats, but it's just an open design, like a tuk
mm,
tuk type of thing. Anyway, you hop into one of these guys and you finally convince someone to take you, and he's taking you, and the GPS is saying it's gonna take like 25 minutes, but the boat is like leaving in 20. So this guy's like fucking like doing all he can to like try to get you to the ferry, but then we get stuck behind this fucking like other truck that's like just like chilling at like half the speed, while
mm.
like your boy's been like doing like Tokyo drift and trying to get you there as fast as he can. But there's this fucking car in front, you can't get through, and he's like beeping the guy, and the guy, they won't move, and like the roads are too narrow to overtake. And then we finally go, and like Jenny's there like sitting like messaging the guys, we're gonna be there soon. And we literally like get dropped off, and like there's these people like telling us like, oh, let's go, and they're helping us with our luggage and like all that sort of shit. So
Yeah,
I feel like that was more like prominent in my mind than where we were actually going. So like,
yeah,
I don't know I don't know if the holiday was, or the destination was as good as like just the whole like, hey, we took a chance, we're like, fuck, let's get this done.
yeah. That's like it's stressful, right? Obviously, but it's
Mm.
fucking exciting. Like it's exciting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right? What happens if you miss that ferry?
Fucking, that's like, there's no more ferries for that day, so we have to catch the bus back, catch the taxi back to the interchange, and then from the interchange back to the other bus station, and then back to the city.
Or you could just
So
like
it's like,
wait a fucking day and then get another ferry in, like
that's
travel the
true.
area more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like, it's like worst case scenario, you like, I mean, it looked like a residential area where there was like literally nothing to do, but I'm sure we could have talked to some locals or something.
Could have found something. Like I don't know. I'm just a big believer of like there's not a lot of like dire consequences.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where it's the end. It's like the end or nothing. Like there's a lot of like gray in the middle where you can just create your own fun, your own situation. You know, if
Mm.
can you imagine, right? Like you're whatever you were doing that like led you to being so late, you were clearly enjoying whatever you were doing. Because then if you
Yeah,
weren't enjoying it, you would have left considerably earlier. It was like
yeah.
if you left, like it sounds like you did it perfectly because you got the most time there possible. You had a little bit of stress, but it was fun as
Mm.
hell because you actually ended up making it.
Mm.
But if you didn't end up making it, you still got the best
Yeah.
out of here, and then you get another day to go and travel around. But I think,
Actually,
go sorry, you go.
100%. I was just gonna say, I just had like a little flashback. Like, I'm pretty sure we got up at like three in the morning to go down to this bus station, because the bus like left at like three, leaves at like 3:30. So we almost like went from like one city on like a 3 hour bus trip, and then like another sort of like small bus, and then the little truck, and then the ferry. So it was like 5 legs in this fucking like trip.
Fucking hell,
That
that's
started at three
intense.
thirty in the morning. I feel bad for Jenny. I'm like, yeah, I think we can do
Yeah, you'll be all
it.
right. You were there for 20. It took you so long to get there. You were there for 20 minutes and then came straight back.
Yeah.
I
Nah,
think
it's good.
people's version of holidays is like so wrong. Like the idea of only being able to have like one holiday a year that's 1 week,
Mm,
like that's not a holiday. That's not even a break. It's not a rest.
yeah.
That
I,
doesn't make sense.
I think like, I guess you kind of look at what's like kind of average, right? The average, person that works full time gets 4 weeks of holidays a year. And I've heard like, some people take 1 week vacations a couple times a year, or they take one big vacation once a year. I guess like the other option, even like one big vacation for 4 weeks, let's say you go to 2 or 3 countries, that gives you a deeper taste of that country, but still could be too short. I
Mm,
think like I've heard of people taking a big trip every other year, so
yeah,
where like they literally take 6 to 8 weeks off, and I'm
yeah,
like, that sounds like maybe the better way to do it potentially.
yeah. But here's the thing: like the reality situation is like anyone, like with the the way that we can invest. All right, you get a certain amount of money in the market. You don't have to be like a financially
Mm.
free and become like the entrepreneur of the year, business person of the year, but like a lot of people's goals is to travel countries and to travel the world, right?
Mm.
A lot of people love doing that and they want to do that. Having an investment account that can pay for that lifestyle, like you work hard as shit for 5 years. Sometimes you can do it, maybe even do it for 10 years, from 20 to 30. And when you're 30, you can have, you know, in 10 years, it's possible to become a millionaire,
Yeah.
right? It is
Yeah.
possible. So it's like, then you got $1 million in our investment account. We're getting 20% a year. That's a $200,000 salary,
Yeah. I
right?
think I think I think that's what I keep coming back to, this idea that, you know, there's fairly, like, they're not guaranteed, but they're fairly safe investments out there that, you know, return like 7 to 10%. So like if you, you know, build your assets to $1 million, then at that point your assets are going to return you more than your salary in most cases,
Mm.
or at least very close to matching your salary, um, for the rest of your life. So
Yeah. And if it's not matching, people need to understand like the time that they're putting into making that money. So like if you're earning
mm,
150K from a job, all right, you're working. If you're earning 150K, you're usually working more than full time
yeah,
because
probably 50, 60 hours at least. Yeah,
that's just kind of what the job usually is
required.
like needs. And then in an investment account, you earn what 100K if you get 10% on a mill. You do zero work, or you might do a couple
Mm,
hours a week. So it's like, what do you actually want, and what is better? Like for me, dude, fuck, I want to travel everywhere. I still don't want to
mm,
like I don't want to have to burn out my savings account, burn out my cash flow, any of that kind of stuff. Like I
mm.
want to be able to do and experience as much as possible. And that's not
Yeah,
possible unless you have money. But people don't focus on it like that.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think, like, you know, being sort of thoughtful, sort of, you know, doing doing what's kind of what's kind of like rewarding, and sort of focusing on a few things that you're willing to do really deeply. So like, let's say if you're going to, if you got the option to go to Queensland, right? You're like, oh, I've got like 2 weeks in Queensland. I can go Surfers Paradise, and I want to do all the theme parks. But maybe like you just choose like one or two theme parks, and you just go on every single ride like 4 times.
Mm.
I think that's the way you kind of approach travel. Like, don't try to like just tick things off for the sake of saying, "Hey, I've done this." Try to really sort of, maybe narrow down your options. So like, I think two big things, right? Like, that you can probably learn from traveling is be more thoughtful in what you do. Choose a couple of things that, you know, resonate with what you think, will give you the most out of the experience. But maybe choose fewer things to do. But, you know, explore everything once you decide what you're going to do. And then the second thing is try new things. So like, um, get outside of your routine in terms of what you would normally eat. You know, engage with the locals, and be that guy that's like, hey, what do you recommend? I always go for this dish. I want to try something else. Like, what do you recommend? And
Mm.
then taking that pick, because like the restaurant, um, staff are going to suggest you what they think is most popular, right? So you're most of the time you're going to get probably one of the better dishes from the restaurant that you've just been to as well.
Yeah, it's an expansion of like your mindset if you're thinking like everything is possible. Because if you're
Mm.
so like I think you can draw comparisons from like working in a normal job and then like the way holidays are booked from schedulizing every single 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's the same kind of thought process. And it's like
yeah,
do less, but
yeah,
not less in experience, but have less booked and just try to be more free and just
yeah,
do what it is you're feeling at that specific time. Because like, dude, no one wants to have to go to a certain place because they have it booked with a tour group or something when they're feeling like shit. Like imagine you get sick, sick or something like that, or you're just not feeling like you just you want to just spend the day by the pool, relax.
Mm.
But you have to go to this tour to some shit fucking tourist attraction and go look at a rock because everyone
Yeah.
else is looking at a rock. You know what I mean? Like for some people, it's going to be interesting. For a lot, dude, no one gives a shit. So just
Yeah.
do it what it is that you want to do, but don't have it like booked in. And that's what I'm really excited about the next couple of years of being able to travel. Is like not just going and not having an itinerary, going and being like every day is a new day. I get to experience something new, something different. And like that's all possible because we put the work in previously to have money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, 100%. It's being thoughtful about your money. So like, yes, you're going to have to sort of, think about how you actually allocate your money as it comes in each time you get paid. But you do that over a long period of time, and now you can, sort of change jobs, or you can take a step back, or take maybe like a break between jobs and travel, because you've got those investments that help take the stress financially off you, so you can do those things.
yeah,
Because like, it's not even just the time, right? It's like, I'd really love to go to Japan, but I don't have fucking $4,000 or $5,000 lying around.
yeah,
So yeah.
exactly right. And then like I think as well, saving up for a holiday, like saving actual cash just for a holiday specifically, and
Yeah.
having to go every year. Like there's some years, especially in the beginning, I wish I did travel more, but there's like I didn't want to go on a holiday at all. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
work. So I was like, you don't have to go on a holiday every single year, but maybe there's a year where you want to not work and go holiday in the whole year. Like saving up for something specific, although it can have like good um like it would allow you mentally to be able to save for something. Like I think is if you just have that as a mindset of like, all right, I'm going to travel whenever I feel like traveling, I feel like you'll allocate more capital because it's like, well, I want to be able to do whatever I want to do whenever I'm feeling it. So it's like you'll need more money regardless. So allocating, like if you want to go, me, right? My younger holidays, especially as a kid and stuff, were at big four car parks. Do you know what that is?
Big four car parks,
Yeah, not car parks, big four camping grounds, camping
camping grounds.
parks. You ever been to
Ah,
that?
in Victoria, you mean, or
Yeah.
big four camping park?
So caravan parks and
No,
tents.
I don't think I have. Yeah.
Dude, we would go for
Actually, if
10
you,
days. It would cost us $1,000.
yeah, that dude, that's so cheap.
Yeah. But sometimes with price comes
Yeah,
lack of fucking fun. But
yeah,
like it's the reality is I think like also my parents were struggling with money and are struggling with money, but it's like they were saving up for that in mind
yeah.
specifically. It's like if you're maybe it is still a goal, but it's larger goals, or maybe it's just having the idea of just I want to travel, so I want as much money there to be able to travel as much as possible. Maybe that is the goal itself. But I think when you limit by like, oh, I've got to go to this, do this thing, you need a certain amount of money to do that thing. Then like you can then justify other things in your life. Am I
Do
making
you feel like
sense?
Yeah, do you feel like finances like uh, play a big part in deciding, like for you personally, do you feel like finances have played a part in deciding when to take holidays and how often, and where to go, that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, when I was younger, for sure. Like when I was um a kid and I was going with the family and stuff like that. Like there was only we would take a holiday a year for probably 7 days. 10 days was like, wow, we're going on a long holiday, and it was
Yeah,
at like a same few locations or the same
yeah,
like the same type of big four caravan park where the most exciting thing is like this big pillow thing that you jump on. That's like a fucking shit trampoline.
yeah.
But that was like the most exciting thing, or like the cricket game that happened and stuff like that. But the reality is like I'm guaranteed my parents want to go to Egypt, they want to go to London, they want to travel all these places, but they don't have the money to. So money is the big dictator. It's like if you started investing years ago, you're actually probably retired and traveling all these places already.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
Sometimes I
100%.
think you need it. Sometimes I
Yeah,
think it doesn't matter about the money. Go to like Bali, Gili Tea, go to some Asian countries like you've been to that are cheap and like
yeah,
have perspective, find
yeah.
perspective.
What? How about like let's say, because I know, if you're kind of like sort of savvy with your investments, and you kind of learn how to invest, and you start going down that path, and you're saving for like, all your other little things. If you're traveling, do you think there's like a certain approach you should have in terms of, like, let's say if you're someone younger, so like you're sort of 18, you've started working, you can travel now, you're you can legally drink, all that sort of stuff. Do you think in the early years you should, you know is there like a framework to approach how to travel, like, hey, I'm young, I should do more traveling, or I should maybe travel based on like on a scale of like, hey, I'm starting to earn more money, so I'll take more holidays, or like, what are your thoughts
Mm.
on that?
Um,
Or should you not travel for a couple of years, just invest
mm,
and then
it's,
travel in your early 20s? Yeah.
it's a really hard
no
one.
right no right or wrong answer though, right?
Yeah, it's I think I wish I traveled younger,
Yeah.
personally. But then you can argue, well, if you spent that money on traveling, you might not be here. But also, you can argue if I had the perspective shift that I did while I traveled, then when I came back, the amount I allocated or the importance I allocated to investing and what I'm doing now would be, have more weight to it. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think where people get it wrong is when they're really young and they first get their hands on money, they go to like maybe like Spain or Italy or European countries and stuff like that are built up. They're like first world countries and stuff like that. I think you need to
Mm.
go and tour those like Asian, rundown third world countries and understand, have perspective, because that's kind of like European countries to me. They seem like a lot of those places. I'm not saying all of them, but that kind of traveling seems like you're retired, you're having fun, you're experiencing luxury and stuff like that. I don't think you really
Mm.
need that when you're young. I don't think it's important.
True.
I think you
Mm.
need those perspective shifts and those things that are gonna like change your life at a young age. And a
Yeah.
lot of third world countries do that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on, right? Like, naturally, as you're younger, like, you're a little bit more selfish because you not like, people aren't depending on you, right? So
mm,
like, you've never had like that responsibility or accountability. So, traveling to places where, people aren't as well off as you, or like, they're sort of, like, their way of life is a lot more difficult. It's going
mm,
to give you that perspective that you probably need when you're younger, so you can be grateful for the opportunities that come your way, and understand the weight of those opportunities
mm,
when they present themselves, instead of going, oh yeah, it sounds like a good opportunity, but it seems like a lot of work. Like, when you're kind of young and naive and
mm.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, exactly right. It's exactly right. I got nothing for that. That's perfect. um,
Mm.
I think I might have to wrap up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, been
Sounds good.
got to go into the other Hang with Hardcore podcast. So if you're listening to this at the end, make sure you check out the most recent Daniel and Mark show, because I think we've been putting out bangers recently. Marky, what do you think?
Yeah, it's been good. We've kind of just sort of like talked about, sort of speaking to sort of one topic, and sort of staying on topic, rather than sort of moving around and talking about everything, which I know can be hard to follow sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think in terms of like the new format, where we kind of stay on topic, we try to kind of stick to one theme,
Hmm.
or do you kind of like it when we just like shoot the shit about a bit of everything?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good thing. Let us know in the comments, please. All right, please do all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when we post. Marky, you got any final thoughts, my friend?
Nah, go out, try new things, be thoughtful, and you know, just break your routine so you can experience like new perspectives and new experiences.
Perfect. Back her up.
Back her up, mate.